This video was created by Danny Kessler, Associate Professor and Korea's first PhD in Wellness Tourism. You pack your bags, spend an expensive week meditating on a mountain and drinking green juice, and feel entirely reborn. Yet 48 hours after returning home, your cortisol is spiking, and those old, stressful habits have already returned. That expensive transformation evaporates the exact moment you unpack your suitcase. This happens because the industry relies on the commander approach. Retreats operate under the false assumption that if they forcibly remove you from your daily stress and dictate a pristine, perfectly optimized schedule, you will naturally heal. But this rigid scheduling ignores the psychology of recovery. When an environment dictates every meal, every movement, and every hour of your day, it completely strips you of your autonomy. You are no longer an active participant in your health. You are merely submitting to external control. You eat the kale and do the breathing exercises because the environment forces you to. This creates a psychological state of purely extrinsic motivation. The second you step off the plane and lose that external scaffolding, your newly forced behaviors instantly collapse. Relying on forced compliance treats the symptoms for a week, but it leaves the internal identity untouched. Without that shift, the transformation cannot survive the return home. This is self-determination theory. Human motivation relies on three distinct pillars: autonomy, relatedness, and competence. The curator model solves the commander approach by providing a high-fidelity buffet of choices. This triggers the autonomy paradox. Curated options yield significantly higher effort because the decision was yours. Choice alone will not make a habit stick. The second nutrient, relatedness, dictates that health routines only become permanent when anchored in a supportive community. The curator model naturally fosters this by organically grouping individuals based on shared autonomous choices rather than arbitrarily forced schedules. When guests voluntarily opt into a high-intensity breathwork session, they form bonds through shared adversity. You shift from practicing healthy habits in isolation to becoming part of a highly motivated microculture that normalizes discipline. This brings us to the final and most critical psychological nutrient, competence. For decades, the hospitality sector has relied almost entirely on passive services to drive satisfaction. A 90-minute deep tissue massage feels excellent in the moment, but it is biologically inefficient. It requires zero effort, imparts zero lasting skills, and serves only as an outsourced, transient solution to an internal problem. Contrast that with active effort. If you spend that exact same 90 minutes learning the biomechanics of diaphragmatic breathing, or the protocol for regulating your nervous system through deliberate thermal exposure, you acquire a toolkit that remains accessible long after you leave. The rugged durability of learning a hard skill outweighs the fleeting comfort of a luxury robe. True resilience requires active, focused effort. Wellness is the result of hard-won mastery over a life-altering skill. The souvenir of the future takes the form of a compounding biological asset. Consider the real-world application. When you face an extreme, unexpected stressor in your corporate office 3 months later, you do not need to book another flight to a remote sanctuary. You simply deploy the exact self-regulation skills you mastered. You experience the psychological victory of actively controlling your own biology in real time. This creates a profound, complete identity shift. You no longer view yourself as a fragile individual in need of escape, but as someone who is robust, highly resilient, and entirely capable. The industry must stop selling passive relaxation and start engineering active resilience. Take these principles of self-determination theory, apply them to your routines, and become your own healer. This video was created by Danny Kessler, Associate Professor and Korea's first PhD in Wellness Tourism.